Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Hello and welcome once again to Cheap Shot Entertainment. You are the Cheap Shot Nation and I am your host Luke. I'm going to take you through everything that happened at Insurrextion on the 5th of May 2001. It is from the Earl's Court Arena in London, England, and housed 16,284 screaming UK WWE fans. Of course, we got JR and Paul Heyman on commentary once again. Brilliant pay-per-view. I really enjoyed this one, not just because it was in England and they used all the tropes that Americans think the English people are, but it did actually house some very, very good matches as well. If you want to find out what those matches were and what I thought of them, join us for the main part of the video, and don't forget to click that subscribe button, hit that notification bell and like the video. Make sure you give us a comment as well if you were there. How cool was that? You know, let us know. I'll see you in the main part of the video. We start off the show with Regal talking on the phone to Kurt Angle, and a visit from Vince gets told that Linda made the changes to the main event, which we will discuss later on. Linda tells Vince that the changes needed to be made to that main event because obviously Vince is the bad guy and Linda is his nemesis, the the goody two shoes wife, and nemesis to the evil, vindictive Vince McMahon. Foot and mouth questions, because that was the time when a lot of the cattle and livestock and stuff in the UK were actually getting destroyed because of the foot and mouth outbreak. And so, what are we doing over here from the foot and mouth? I don't want to get a foot and mouth and all that kind of Healy type stuff. We call it cheap heat in the business. Paul Heyman, and Maggle Cole on commentary. No sign of good old JR. I think Maggle was a replacement for JR. I think he was supposed to go over there, but had some commitments in the US. And we start off with a no, we don't start off with a tag team match. Start off with a singles match. I was going to say tag team match because of the participants in this one. It is Grandmaster Sexay Brian Christopher versus Eddie Guerrero, and not a great opener, gotta say. Very short for how good Eddie Guerrero is, and Grandmaster Sexy was just there. Eddie uses the classic European style to get the victory, and a little bit of cheating, of course. Eddie Guerrero well travelled. I'm going to give this one cheap shot out of 5. We're going to move on very, very quickly because this match was just not good. I never thought I'd say that from a match with Eddie Guerrero in it, but it wasn't. It just was not good at all. Moving on next, we get Saturn and Dean Milenko versus the Hollies and Molly, with Molly down with them as well, and Terry with Saturn and Milenko. That is Hardcore Holly and Crash Holly. Of course, Crash Holly no longer with us, but Hardcore Holly, I saw him not last year, the year before. Couldn't have seen last year anyway, just like John Cena. But it's funny, isn't it? Couldn't see anybody last year. But John Cena, we couldn't see him either. Anyway, we're on retro reviews, nothing to do with John Cena. So the three-handled family credenza would win this match, and again it was another very disappointing match. As the match broke down, Perry Saturn gets the win over Crash Holly. Crash Holly, formerly in the the hardcore division, the Elroy Jetson of the Houdini of hardcore, and all those skits and things where he was running away from all the other people, things that they're trying to do with the 24/7 championship and failing miserably, I've got to say. So Perry Saturn gets the victory over Crash Holly again. I'm going to give this 1 cheap shot out of 5. I'm kind of losing it here because I said that this pay-per-view was actually really good, and it is, and it does get a lot better, trust me. Carry on watching the video. So next we get William Regal saying that he is the only real sporting hero left in England because, you know, he was the only sporting hero in England. He's William freaking Regal. He is the man. And we move on to the Big Show coming to the ring and calls out Test to raise his hand, and Test answers. Of course, Test not medically cleared, and Big Show just beats up Test. And this is the start of the show, people. This is only the start of the show. Do not judge this show by the first couple of bits. Bradshaw takes Big Show's challenge as an open challenge, and then we get a impromptu match between Big Show and Bradshaw. Show brings out the chair and takes out Bradshaw and goes for Test, and who kicks the chair into his face, and Bradshaw hits the clothesline from hell to get the victory over the big man, Big Show. Again, this was a hell of a win for Bradshaw at a time when he wasn't the same John Bradshaw Layfield that we would get a couple of years down the line. In fact, 4 years down the line, when he was WWE Champion, he was still part of the Acolytes. Love the clothesline from hell, gotta say. Really love that move, it's great. But another 1 cheap shot out of 5, and I'm really losing it here because we're 3 matches in and they've all got 1 cheap shot out of 5. It's a lot easier for me to edit, of course, but still. But yeah, it honestly, trust me, it does get better. I'm trying to convince myself here now, actually. Michael Cole interviews Stone Cold and gets his thoughts on the main event match that we will see later on. We move on to a fatal 4-way elimination tag team match between the Dudley Boys, the Hardy Boys, Edge and Christian, and the X Factor. Now this is where these teams should be in a tag team match, fighting each other. Swanton on X-Pac, and the X Factor get eliminated. They're gone. The first ones disappearing from this match, as it should be, because they should have never been in this match before. It should just be the 3 teams. I admire the trying to add something a little bit different, but I was never really a massive fan of the X Factor, but I get that some people probably were. Got no problems with X-Pac or just incredible. I just think they were always sort of just there on the fringes, just not really doing very much really. The Unprettier eliminates the Hardy Boys as it's hit on Jeff Hardy, and they are eliminated. The former tag team champions are eliminated from this one. Edge and Christian getting closer and closer and closer. Down to the Dudleys and Edge and Christian now. Gore to Bubba Ray's first time. Well, not the first time we've seen Rhino, but Rhino's obviously hanging around with Edge and Christian. And Edge gets the cover for the win. Was that for the... No, it wasn't for the championships. Although I didn't actually write that down. 2.5 cheap shots out of 5. I'm going to go middle of the road for this one. Slightly better than the last 3 matches, but again quite a disappointing one considering the teams that were involved. Hardcore Champion gets a 3D through the table. We get to see some celebrities in the crowd. Next, Eamon Holmes, Chris Tarrant and Gianfranco Zola. If you remember any of those people, you were cool and over 20 years old. Yeah, they were the big celebrities. Gianfranco Zola was fantastic in a Chelsea shirt, and Chris Tarrant, of course, being the guy who bought us Who Wants to Be a Millionaire around this time, and Eamon Holmes. But well, there you go. We get another interview with Angle. who's crying about his stolen medals, and we move on to the next match. Next match is the Right to Censor cuts a promo about page 3 girls here in the UK, and I have to agree with them. I don't disagree with the page 3, I just disagree with the paper that they're featured in, because it belongs at the bottom of my cat's litter tray, basically, and so does the reporting in that one. William Churchill and Martin Luther King, God rest their souls, would they ever have approved of page 3 girls? Start the fight by right to censor. Start the right to censor the ladies' battle royal by cancelling it. So the right to censor then cancel the next match. Doesn't happen. Damn you, right to censor. Jacqueline, Trish, Lita strip Ivory and seduce Stephen before giving him a low blow and pantsing him, sending him literally running with his tail between his legs. DDT and a moonsault leaves Stephen running, and we don't get a Divas Battle Royal in this one because the right to censor cancelled it. Moving on to the next match is a 2 out of 3 falls match between Chris Benoit and Kurt Angle for the right to hold those Olympic gold medals. Of course, Chris Benoit had stolen the Olympic gold medals from Kurt Angle and put them down his pants. Yes, it's true, that did happen. But it's okay because these two are absolutely bloody awesome, and Chris Benoit assures Kurt Angle that they are being kept in a warm, safe place. The first fall goes to Benoit with his diving headbutt, the move that possibly made him go a little bit crazy. Benoit gets the sweep of Angle after some great mat wrestling, and both guys get a roll up. So we're moving on. Angle cries as Benoit reveals the medal's hiding place. And another great match from these two. So Benoit gets a clean sweep over Kurt Angle as he goes in pursuit of his Olympic gold medals that he won in 1996 with a broken freaking neck. I'm going to give this one 3.5 cheap shots out of 5. Really good match as ever with these two. And the rivalry ticks on. So we're in the back again now as Stone Cold tells his wife Deborah, to get some drinks for himself, Triple H and Stephanie. Deborah's not very happy with this, but we move on to the next match. The Queen's Cup between William Regal and Chris Jericho. The Queen's Cup, moving on from the Queensberry Rules match, of course. The Queen's Cup is very prestigious here in the UK, and the first ever winner of the Queen's Cup was, of course, Jericho. Resembles a lot the Stanley Cup from ice hockey, Jericho having a background with that because his dad played for the New York Rangers, of course. The Lion Salt is how Chris Jericho would set up the victory, but that is countered into a near fall by Regal, but Jericho hits the walls of Jericho, and Commissioner Regal taps out to Jericho's finishing submission move. Again, this was another great match to tell you about, and don't like to give a lot of detail for the match because I like to say, right, okay, this is what I think of it. You want to go and watch it? Go and watch it, because getting past the first 3 matches that are 1 out of 5 matches, you might have a different perspective of that to me. But this is where we start moving forward in terms of quality of matches. And again, Chris Jericho, William Regal, perfect rivalry for each other, because one's Canadian, one's British. I don't know how that's perfect rivalry, but it is pretty damn good. I'm going to give this one three cheap shots out of 5. Great match, really enjoyed this one, much like the others. and had a lot. These guys just had loads of ring chemistry, probably coming over from their WCW days, but they were really, really good. On to the main event now. It is the WWE Championship, or WWF Championship as it was then. 2-on-1 handicap match, Stone Cold and Triple H versus The Undertaker. Of course, Kane has been taken out of this one, and that's how we get the 2-on-1 championship match. Of course, Triple H is helping Stone Cold at this point in time. They are a full-on tag team. 2 months earlier, they were tearing each other apart in a 3 stages of hell match. But victory would be gained by chokeslam on Triple H from The Undertaker, which means that Stone Cold retained his championship even though The Undertaker won the match. Give it as a feel-good moment, but no championship change. So, Stone Cold retains the championship, The Undertaker celebrates in the ring, and Triple H gets a chokeslam for his trouble. Again, these three of the probably 5-6 main top superstars at this point in time in 2001, and of course they will always deliver because these three are absolutely fantastic. I'm going to give this one 3.5 cheap shots out of 5, and this really turned it up to end the pay-per-view. Of course they're always going to want to turn it up for the main event, and just the pageantry and everything else that came along with this one and the storyline that was being told just made everything so much better. It was a really, I know I said this, that it was a really good pay-per-view. Now thinking back at it, it was lackluster. I really enjoyed it because it was in the UK, but and a couple of matches that saved it. Was lackluster. I mean, bearing in mind that they only had a pay-per-view like 6 days before, they'd flown over to England and then put on another pay-per-view. You've got to give them a break on this one, but it was okay. I'd say go and watch it if you want to see some nostalgic WWE wrestling in the UK, and because they always do the shots of England as London. Doesn't matter where they are. They could be in Scotland and they'll always put a big red bus and a phone box on stage. But there you go, that is WWE in a nutshell. And this is me in a nutshell. Help, I'm in a nutshell. How did I get in this pretty great big nutshell? Anyway, that was everything that happened at Insurrection on the 5th of May 2001, 20 years ago to the day that we are releasing this video. If you've enjoyed the video, click the like button and leave us a comment down below, and make sure you subscribe as well. You are the Cheap Shot Nation. Please join us, and I will see you next time.